Humans, in general, love animals. We go to the zoo and gape at tigers and giraffes through the glass and metal bars. We keep dogs and cats, hamsters, snakes, birds, and even spiders inside of our houses so that we can care for them. We eat animals. We live among animals, ignoring the crows eating roadkill on the side of the road, or if you're like me, fondly watch the bumblebees pollinate our flowers. Some of us even get black bears in our own backyards. But is there a line? Is there a point where we take our love of animals too far? After Finding Nemo, we stripped clownfish from their homes for people to take home. We take exotic animals from the wild and we bring them inside. Sometimes they're rescues who can't survive without us, but then there's some who breed and buy animals that would probably be better off if we never interfered. Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, I do videos on creepy and disturbing things. Many of you probably remember the famous Oprah episode where this woman came on and revealed her recently maimed face for the first time to the world. She was brutally attacked by her friend's chimpanzee. And she would go on to get a full face transplant because her injuries were so awful. But many of you probably don't know the full story of how and why this happened. And so that's going to be the topic of today's video. Travis the chimpanzee was born in Festus, Missouri on October 21st, 1995 at an animal sanctuary. However, Travis was tragically stolen from his mother at only like 3 days old. He was bought from a breeder where as a baby he would be bought for a whopping $50,000 from a couple named Sandra and Jerome Harold. They brought Travis home with them to Connecticut where they would go on to raise him in North Stamford. And then they basically brought him into their home as if he was a child that they adopted, which is all well and great, but it also got kind of weird. They would take him to work, they would take him shopping. The couple owned this towing company and Travis would go to work with them like every single day, sitting with a seatbelt on in the truck, wearing a hat and a t-shirt for the towing company. He would pose for photos with the truck for the couple to use in advertising, and he got really well known in the local area for being the friendly monkey. He would greet police officers and other residents there. Travis had been socialized with humans since birth. One of the neighbors even claimed that he used to play and actually wrestle with Travis. And Travis was actually really good about stopping when things got a little too rough. This neighbor would say that Travis listened better than his own nephews. And other than all the stuff I've already listed, Travis also was just a regular human pretty much. He could use keys, he used to dress himself, he could brush his teeth with like a water pick, he could water the plants, he would watch TV using the remote, he would feed hay to the Harold's horses, he would eat dinner at the table with them, and then he would also like drink wine and eat ice cream. So this seems all well and good still, but the 2009 attack didn't come out of nowhere. Several years before, in 2003, there was one incident that, in my opinion, should have tipped us all off that this could be a dangerous animal. What happened was that Travis was in the car with his family or a family member, and a pedestrian threw a drink towards their car. Travis's window was open, and so the drink got in the car and spilled over Travis. Travis naturally was startled and really agitated by this. He unbuckled his seatbelt, got out of the car, and went after the man. He chased the man down the street, but thankfully the man got away and he didn't catch him. So then what happens next is almost comical if it wasn't so sad overall, but the police came and they tried to help chase Travis back into the car. Every time they did, Travis would just hop over the seat and get out of the car through a different door, at one point even chasing the officers around the car. The incident lasted several hours and it held up traffic at this busy intersection for that entire time. So because of this incident with Travis, Connecticut passed a law that you need a permit for owning a monkey over 50 pounds, which is just amazing. I have to pay for a license every year for my dog, as well as chip her, which I happily do, of course, but it just seems weird that we need that much for dogs and cats and yet there wasn't even a permit needed to keep a 200-pound chimpanzee? Anyway, this law, of course, wouldn't go into effect until 2009, and it didn't matter anyway. They never enforced this law on Travis's family because, I mean, the incident happened in 2009, so it was really too late anyway, but they figured Travis wasn't like a menace to society. He had never been violent. They didn't think he could do any harm, and they had Travis before permits were needed, so they didn't enforce this on them. So like I said before, the incident is kind of funny if you think about it, just because nobody got hurt, and just thinking about a bunch of people in their cars stuck watching this happen from their cars, watching this 200-pound monkey chase police officers around a car is kind of comical. But I can't help but wonder if this should have been a sign. Maybe somebody should have looked at this incident and thought, as human as Travis seems, he is still capable of snapping because he's not a human. He's an exotic animal. Of course, to be fair, as always, hindsight is 20/20. Things then soon took a terrible turn for the Herolds family. Sandra's husband and Travis's father, Jerome, passed away in 2004 tragically from cancer. And then Sandra and Jerome did have one daughter together, but she also passed away in a car accident. So Sandra lost her entire family, like practically in one fell swoop, and this made her even closer with Travis. She got way more attached to him because it was kind of all the family she had left. They would sleep together every night, even though Travis already slept with them before Jerome died, but she slept with Travis every night. They would even like bathe together. So now for the 2009 attack on Charla Nash. This incident would leave Travis dead and a woman with just irreversible, horrible injuries. I know there was a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, but I just want to disclaimer again, the following incident is just really sad. No matter whose fault it was or whose fault it wasn't, it's tragic overall. And Travis loses his life. So if you're really uncomfortable with animal death, this might be the time to either skip forward or click off. So here's what happened. On February 16th, 2009, Travis got a hold of Sandra's car keys and he left the house with them. I'm pretty sure he was just being like mischievous and kind of naughty, trying to get attention. Sandra's friend and employee, Charla Nash, who was 55 years old at the time of the incident, was helping Sandra get Travis back into the house. Now, it's important to note that Travis knew Charla. He had known her since he was a baby. She had always kind of been around. So then, back in the house, Charla was holding a Tickle Me Elmo toy. I think from what I've read, it was a gift that she was going to give Travis. I'm not positive though, but either way, this seems to be what provoked the attack. Tickle Me Elmo, or Elmo in general, was Travis's like favorite toy. And I think he saw Charla with it and somehow it just enraged him. I don't know if it was jealousy or he thought maybe she was trying to take away one of his favorite toys. It's unclear exactly, but it seems like this is what provoked his anger. They also think that perhaps even though Travis did know Charla since he was a baby, Charla had also recently changed her hairstyle. And so it's speculated that maybe this also alarmed Travis, that he didn't recognize her. So on top of everything, he thought that this stranger was stealing his toy or something like that. We don't know for sure, but it's possible that that also had something to do with it. So Travis just attacks Charla, attacks her to the floor and just starts tearing into her. Sandra, who is a 70-year-old woman, to her credit, she did try to get Travis to stop. She was hitting him in the head with a shovel, and when that didn't work, she even stabbed him in the back with a butcher knife from the kitchen. This, unfortunately, it didn't stop Travis. It actually just seemed to make him angrier, and I think he also felt betrayal then because he didn't understand that what he was doing was wrong, and so this kind of made him even more angry and he wanted to also attack Sandra. Keep in mind that a 200-pound chimp, alone, that's a really big animal. That's larger than I'm sure either of these women were, as well as the fact that apparently chimpanzees can be 5 to 7 times more powerful than a human of the same weight. It makes sense that the stabbing didn't do anything, and It's just that they had no chance. Travis was just going to overpower them both. Sandra thought at this point that Charla was dead. She calls 911. You can hear Travis screaming in the background, and the dispatcher thought that it was a hoax for the first part of the call. And I'm going to play this 911 call for you now because I think it's important to the story, but just again, FYI, it's really unsettling.
Time for 911, where's your emergency?
Oh, this is Sandy. 231 Rock Crimmon Road.
What's the problem?
Send the police. Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friend.
What's the problem with your friend?
Oh, please.
What's the problem with your friend? I need to know.
Send the police up with a gun. With a gun. With guns, please. You shoot him.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey's...
He ripped her face off.
He ripped her face off?
He's trying to attack me. Please,
Okay,
hurry.
I need you to calm down a little bit. They're on the way.
Please.
If the monkey moves away from your friend, let me know, okay? So we can try to help your friend.
No, I can't. She's dead. She's dead.
Why are you saying that she's dead?
She's dead. He ripped her apart.
He ripped what apart? Her face?
Everything. Please go faster. Please, Dirk. Please.
Is the monkey still by your friend, or can you get close to your friend?
He's eating her. Please. God, no, please.
Okay, I need you to calm down for me. I know it's hard, okay? I know it's hard. But they're going as fast as they can your way, okay?
Oh, my God. Please.
Emergency paramedics finally arrived on the scene, but they couldn't go in the house yet because Travis was still on his rampage, so they had to wait for police to arrive. When police arrived, Travis was still really angry, and then he turned his anger on the cops. The cops didn't even exit their cars yet because he was so dangerous. Travis went up to one of the cars trying to open the doors, and upon realizing that they were locked, Travis smashed one of the side mirrors. Then he went to the driver's side door and he was able to open it. The police officer, who had no choice because he was about to attack him, takes out his gun and shoots Travis 3 times. Travis, being shot, then just retreats back into the house and he tries to go back to his cage. He doesn't quite make it to his bed when he collapses and passes away. This part, when I was reading it, like every time I read this, it almost makes me start crying. I have such a hard time with this. And I know, like, I'm not saying that it's more important than like Charla almost losing her life. Like, we'll talk about that. And that was absolutely awful. She's totally a victim in this. But Travis just being an animal and doing what his instincts were telling him to do. And he just should never have been there in the first place. Any animal is never responsible for their own actions. Poor Travis did not ask to be bought and torn away from his mother at a young age and then sold off to random people to live in a house. I mean, simple as that, he belonged in the wild with other chimpanzees. He was forced to play this human role, and even if he did love his family because he had no choice, he still got killed for acting on his own animal instincts. The whole situation overall is just tragic and just unfair. Unfair to Travis, and sad for that police officer that he had no choice or he was going to die. So he shot Travis and he was really traumatized by the whole situation. Anyway, now for Charla. So Travis is dead and they're taking care of that. Charla is still alive, so they rush her to the hospital. Charla endured 7 hours of surgery in the next 3 days after her attack. And she had 4 different surgery teams. Her wounds were so gruesome and upsetting that the hospital provided counseling for the workers at the hospital that initially helped and worked on Charla. So as a result, Charla lost her hands, lost her nose, her eyes, her lips, her mid-face bone structure, and received, of course, brain tissue injuries. They were able to reattach her jaw, thankfully, but she would be blind for life, and of course, she literally lost her whole face. Thankfully, Charla says she does not remember the attack. I'm going to show some footage from the Oprah Winfrey show when Charla first shows her face to the public after the attack before her transplant. So just a warning, she is really disfigured. I don't want to say that the footage is disturbing because like it's a human and there's nothing, you know, it's not her fault she got attacked by an animal and there's nothing ugly about being a victim. And so I don't want to say it's disturbing, but I still feel like I need to like let you all know that her face, I mean, is pretty, it got pretty fucked up and it's just pretty disfigured.
Oh, the hat comes off.
Yep.
Okay, okay. All right. All right. So the veil is lifted. You know, many people around the world want to get a picture of you. You're aware of that, right?
I did hear that there are a lot of reporters in the beginning.
So then she was able to undergo a facial transplant surgery in 2011, where she would end up looking like this. And can I just say, what a badass fucking woman she is. She's amazing. She is stronger than I think anybody I know to go through all of that and come out the other side. The story, of course, became international news. And another woman in the area actually came forward and said that all the way back in like 1996, Travis had attacked her too. She said Travis like bit her hand and was trying to pull her into a vehicle. This woman claimed that she had complained about this incident to both the police and to the Heralds, but there's no record of the complaint. And they also testified later in court that Travis would not have had teeth in 1996 yet, so they don't think that this incident possibly could have happened. They did, of course, do a full autopsy on Travis. They unfortunately had to cut his head off to test him for rabies to make sure that he hadn't transmitted rabies to Carla. Thankfully, he was negative for rabies, but toxicology reports came back and found that his system was positive for Xanax. The results of the autopsy also showed that Travis was overweight and that he had been indeed stabbed, which just aligned with Sandra's story, so they knew that Sandra was telling the truth. Travis was cremated on February 25th, 2009. So the details get a little fuzzy at this point. Sandra, in a statement, did admit to giving Travis Xanax-laced tea the day of the attack. But then in another source, I've seen that she's denied completely that she ever gave Travis Xanax. Even though I don't see how the toxicology reports would lie about that, and considering she's like the main owner and the only one that cared for Travis, who else would have given him the Xanax? I think that Sandra just did not want to admit that she knew that Travis was agitated that day, and so she had given him Xanax in order to calm him down a little bit. And you may be thinking why Xanax would cause agitation like that. Well, Xanax is an anti-anxiety drug, but it can actually have paradoxical effects on people. It can cause hallucinations, aggression, rage, and mania. So then I read somewhere that Sandra got it illegally and that she didn't have a prescription for it. But then again, later in court, it said that there was a veterinarian that testified that she had given the prescription to Sandra. So the details around this, like, I have no idea, honestly, what really happened there. Regardless, there was Xanax in Travis's system, and this could have enraged him by the paradoxical effects of it. Secondly, it turns out that Travis was suffering from Lyme disease. He was being treated for it, but if he had Lyme disease, that could also cause extra aggression and agitation in animals. Animals that are suffering from Lyme disease can often become really agitated and really aggressive because they're in so much pain. We don't know for sure if these two things actually played a part in the attack or not. There's no solid evidence to prove it, but I'm willing to bet that it certainly didn't help. In March of 2009, Carla filed a $50 million lawsuit against Sandra Harold, and I can't say that I blame her. But in May of 2010, Sandra dies. Sandra sadly dies of an aortic aneurysm at the age of 72. This woman, in spite of putting my judgment aside for a moment of her keeping a wild animal, you have to admit she really lived a very, very sad life. She lost her husband, her daughter, and then her son Travis, who she did see like a son, not only did she lose him, but she had to hurt him herself and then beg them to kill him. And then she had to witness this happen to her friend, and then she was sued, and then she died before any of it could really be settled. She was buried next to her husband, and then she was also buried with Travis's ashes and her daughter's ashes. And again, not excusing some of her actions, but I just have to feel some sort of sympathy for the life that she kind of went through. Charla, you'll be pleased to know, did finally reach a settlement in November of 2012. And Charla received $4 million for the incident. She tried to sue the state of Connecticut as well, but she failed to do so. I believe she tried to sue them for allowing this animal as a pet, but I think since it was legal, I think that she didn't really have a case. So I'm gonna try to stay calm here, but I can't help but express my anger towards Sandra and Jerome for having Travis in the first place. Keep in mind, they're not alive to defend themselves, so take my opinion or whatever of them with a grain of salt, because it is kind of unfair that they are not here to, you know, I mean, not that they'd watch this video anyway, but I can't help it. I'm angry. They never should have had Travis, let alone think that he wasn't capable of hurting anybody. My dog is only 11 pounds, and I don't assume that she's not capable of hurting somebody if she was put in the right circumstances. People forget that your pets are animals first. They're, you know, a dog or whatever species they are second, and then they're your pet third. It drives me crazy that we all just think that our pets would never be able to hurt anyone. All animals with teeth are capable of hurting somebody if they're cornered enough. I cannot and will not understand why they ever thought that it was okay to have a chimpanzee. I learned through all this that chimpanzees can actually be pretty aggressive out in the wild. They're territorial, and they even attack each other, and they can be really agitated. So they really belong out there. They don't belong with humans, and if they are privately with humans, then they're just ticking time bombs. Not only that, but they can transmit really horrible diseases to humans. I believe that Sandra's heartbreak for losing Travis was genuine and real. And I do believe that she genuinely loved him and didn't intend to hurt anybody, and probably really thought that he couldn't hurt anybody. Travis deserved to stay with his mother in that sanctuary. And instead, he was bought, stripped away from his home, and used as a pet, and then ended up dying for being the animal that he was. In conclusion, we need to stop anthropomorphizing animals. That's gonna be it for today. Please like the video just to help out the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see y'all in the next one.